Hi, welcome back to another interesting tutorial for today. So today's video is on how to make this beautiful Ankara top with Basque effect at the down part. So guys, if this is what interests you, this is what you would love to know more about, grab a cup of coffee and trust me, it's going to be very interesting. So without too much talk, let's get down into this tutorial.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you.
So we'll be drafting on our pattern paper first. So the width of the pattern paper I'm working with is 25 inches. So I'm going to divide it into two, which will give it 12.5 inches. So I'm just marking it down to make it in a straight line. Then I'll rule a straight line in between it. After marking the straight line, the length of the pattern paper is 20.5 inches. That's 20.5 inches. So I labeled it center front and center back. So this is it, center front and center back. So we're going to work on them, and I have to flip it this way so you can be see it very well. So we're going to mark out our shoulder measurement. Shoulder we work with is 16 inches divided by 2, which gave us 8 inches. So I'll mark out the 8 inches there, and on that same shoulder area I'll come down by 1 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch there, and that will serve as our shoulder slant. So after marking the 1 inch, I'll then go ahead to mark the armhole area, and the armhole from the division is 7.5 inches. So I marked the 7.5, then extended the 8 inches, then ruled it down just this way. If you haven't watched a video on how to calculate a perfect armhole, I'll link it on the screen or in the description box so you can understand better how I got the armhole length or armhole depth. So after marking this right now, I'm just going to rule the line this way. Then I'll go ahead now to mark the neckline. The neckline we'll work with is 4 inches in width, and I'll mark down also 4 inches in depth. So after this, I'll connect the shoulder slant and as well mark our neckline. So after getting our neckline curve, I'm going to mark the underbust. That's the shoulder to the underbust, which is 13.5 inches. So I'm going to mark from the shoulder to the underbust, which is 13.5 inches. Then I'll also mark shoulder to the waistline we're working with, and the waistline we're working with is 18 inches. So I'll mark it down there, and I'll make it up in a straight line, just repeating the same thing that I just did, which is 13.5 inches from the shoulder to the underbust and 18 inches as well. So after this, I'll just make it up in a straight line, just the way I am marking it right now. So this is it here when I was done marking it, and this is the chest line, this is the underbust line, and that's the waistline down there. So I'll go ahead to use my marker pen to make it a bit thicker, and this is it here. So guys, we're going to go ahead to mark out the full length of this top. The full length of this top is 19 inches. Actually, you can use this 18 inches as your full length, but if you want it a bit longer, you can use 19 or 20 inches depending on your choice. But for this tutorial, I use 19 inches, so I'll make it down in a straight line just the way I am marking it right now. So I also labeled it full length there. So to get our armhole curve, I'm coming up by 3 inches. So I'll come up by 3 inches and mark it there. Then I'll go in by 0.75 inches, or you can use 0.5 inch. So after that, we'll get our round bust. The round bust we work with is 36 inches. So we'll divide 36 inches by 4, which will give us 9 inches. That's 9 inches plus 2 inches allowance. Yeah, the dress is not so fitted, so I'll need 1 inch as is. So guys, this is me marking down the armhole curve. After making the armhole curve, we'll get our waistline measurement. That's our round waist. The round waist we'll work with is 32 inches, and 32 inches divided by 4 will give you 8 inches. 8 inches plus extra 2-inch allowance, 1 inch as is and 1 inch for joining allowance, that's 10 inches. So I'll connect the points just the way I'm doing right now, and I'll also extend the same waist measurement to the full length measurement. That's just what I'm marking at now, the 10 inches. Then I'll extend it to the full length. So after marking out this, now we just need to reshape our neckline design or neckline depth. So I'm just using the chest line as the neckline depth. So I'm just reshaping it using my curve this way. So after this, now the front is almost ready. So what we need to do now is to get the curve that is under the bust. So I'm not using the line, the underbust line, as the curve for the underbust. I went down by 1 inch, which I marked down there. But you can decide to use the underbust line as just the curve, but I prefer it this way. So towards the back area, I went ahead to mark the armhole area, and the neck depth I used is 1.5 inches. So I marked it that way, and I'm just going to extend the full length for this back area, and the full length is also 19 inches. So I'm marking down the 19 inches this way, and I'm extending it that way. I will also get the waistline for the back, which is also 18 inches. So I'm marking down the waistline there, that's 18 inches, and I'll make it in a straight line. After doing this now, I will then go ahead to transfer the measurement we have for the front to the back area. So after transferring the same measurement we have for the front to the back area, I'll go ahead to cut it out. So this is it here when I was done cutting out the front and the back piece. So after this now, I'll go ahead to label it. I'll label this as the full length, the waistline, and this is the under bust line, and this is the chest line, just what we have initially. So after this now, I'm going to cut out that line there. Before I cut it out, let's get the basque effect. So to get it, I added a strap paper to it. So from the full length, I'll measure down 4.5 inches depending on how deep you want the front basque effect to be, but I use 4.5 inches for mine. Then I'll come in by 2 inch, which is the allowance I gave for this particular dress. So I'll shape it this way using my curve to curve it this way and make it align. So this is it here. So this is 4.5 inch for the basque effect. I'll go ahead to cut it out, and this is it here for the front piece all complete. So I'll go ahead now to cut out the underbust. That's 1 inch below the underbust. So I'll cut it out now, and I'll show you what it looks like. So this is it here. This is the side front. This is the side front, and this is the up, and the other one is the down part of it. So for the zip area, I marked in 0.5 inches, and I'm slanting it just this way. You can go in by 0.75 as well. So after doing this now, I'll go ahead to cut out that part. So I'll cut it out, and this is it here. I'll label this as the side back, and it's time for us to transfer to fabric, and this is the fabric I'll be using for this particular tutorial. Very beautiful piece of Ankara. I'll go ahead to fold the fabric and place our patterns on it. So I'll be cutting the front part first, and this is the front pattern, and I have to turn it this way and pin it. So I'm pinning it down so that it can relax more. So I pin it this way. Remember, the front pattern also have a zip in front, so I gave allowance for the zip area in front, and I ensure that I have 1.5 inch allowance there. So I'm giving half inch on the neckline, the shoulder area, the armhole, the sides. There is no allowance on the sides. Then I gave 1.5 inch for the zip area, half inch to turn the lining, and 1 inch to join the zip. So I'm cutting it out this way, just the way I am doing. I gave half inch also for the down part, and this is me cutting out everything. So I went ahead to cut out the back pattern, adding half inch allowance on the neck, the shoulder, armhole, the down part, and also the center back. So these are our patterns all set. I'll go ahead to cut it on the lining piece. We're using this cotton lining for it, and I'm just going to trace out everything we already cut out initially. So guys, it's time for us to sew. So we are going to unpin this, and keep the pattern aside. Then I'll open up the fabric and the lining piece as well. So for the fabric piece, I'm just going to open it up this way, and I'm going to join the down part first. So I'm going to join it this way that I'm placing it. I'll also do the same thing for the lining. For place it front facing front, use half inch to sew along that area, and also to this other side and to the lining as well. And this is it when I was done stitching and ironing it. So I'll do the same thing for the back as well. So I'm just going to join the center back front facing front, and this is it here when I was done joining and pressing it down. Same thing for the lining piece as well. So after this, now we're going to place it front facing front for the lining piece and the main piece, and I'm just going to sew along the neck area first. So I'll sew along that neck area there, and also the sides I'll sew using half inch. And I did the same thing for the front. So for the front, I'll place also the front piece for the main piece and the lining piece together this way, and I'm just going to place the other side as well. Then I'll go ahead now to sew along the neck area. So I'll sew along this neckline area towards the zip area as well, then also the down and the sides. Then I will sew the armhole area. So we're going to leave the armhole area open, just the down sides and the neckline. So this is it when I was done stitching everything, and I pressed it down. I make sure I iron it properly so it can relax better. So to install our zip, I'll place it to where I want it to stop, and this is it here when I was done installing the zip. And after this, we're going to join the dress. So I'll bring in the back and to face front facing front. I'll go ahead now to start from the shoulder. I'll place the shoulder this way and use the back to turn it over, flipping it this way. Make sure the front is facing the front so that you won't make any mistake. I'll sew in there, also using half inch allowance. So let's cut the sleeve before joining it. So this is the sleeve here. So to cut the sleeve, I already folded my fabric into four, front facing front, and folded it again. So for the sleeve, the length of the sleeve we're working with is 28 inches, and the width of the sleeve is 13.5 inches in four foldings. That's if it's placed in two, it should be 27 inches. So this is four foldings here. So we'll come up at the top part, we'll come in by 3 inches. I'll mark it there. So I will come from the top shoulder, I'll measure down 4 inches. I'm connecting it just this way that I'm doing now, and that is it for the sleeve. I'm just going to cut it out and open up the side. So we're going to fix it on the dress, and this is it here. I went ahead to turn the shoulders and pressed it down as well. So we bring in the sleeve, and we're going to start from the notched part. So this is the sleeve we just cut. So this is the place I notched at the center of the sleeve. I'll place it to that shoulder area where I joined, and I'm going to pleat it just this way. I'll pleat it a little bit at the top area, then I'll make sure it goes round to meet to the other end, and I'll do the same thing for this side. So I'll go ahead to do the same thing for both sleeves, and this is it here when I was done doing all of that. So this is how it looks, very neat and beautiful. So guys, after doing this, now it's time for us to also join the sides. So we're going to join the sides from the sleeve to the down as well. So we're going to start from the sleeve area. So I'm folding it this way, I turn it to the back, and I'm just going to start here to join it. So remember, we added 2-inch allowance to our pattern while drafting it. So 1 inch is for ease on this top, and 1 inch is for joining allowance. So I'm just going to use that 1 inch to join this dress right now. You can decide to use half inch if you want it a bit free, and this is the finished look when I was done joining it. So what we need to do next is to fold the down part of the sleeve. That's where the elastic will pass through. I'll fold it this way. I'll fold it one, then I'll fold it again, just like hemming the down part of your dress, 1 and 2. And this is it here. I'm just going to sew it around there. I'll do the same thing for the other sleeve as well, and this is it when I was done folding it. So we're going to pass our elastic through that opening, and we'll be using half inch elastic, and this is it here. So I'll use this safety pin to put in the elastic, and I'll just pass it through that opening to the other end and do the necessary finishing. I'll also do the same thing to the other sleeve as well. So when I'm done, you'll see what it looks like. So this is the finished look when I was done passing the elastic there. This is where I stitched it, and I'll put it inside and go ahead to finish up the sewing there. And this is our dress when it was all done, looking all neat, well sewn with neat finishing as well. So guys, this is it here. This is the back part of this dress. So if you enjoyed this video and you want more of these videos like this, ensure to subscribe, like, comment and share. See you all in my next video. Bye.